Hello and welcome to Ion Esports Presents Outside the Lanes. My name's King, being joined with my co-host Ian Race Crown White. What's up, Ian?
Howdy, guys. It's that time again, kids, for the obligatory. Who's gonna win world?
Oh yeah. We always
Or
want to
or
know,
or or in NA's case, when are we gonna hit the bus?
when are we getting knocked out of Worlds? That's the true
But this
question,
time, we don't have to get the airplane this time.
right? Because Worlds is being hosted in North America, so that's pretty hype.
The fun region.
The for fun region. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Well, soon we'll be a wild card region. Then we'll be an we'll be an emerging region and then a wild card region. That'll be great. We'll get one slot at Worlds. We'll just send Team Liquid or Cloud9 every year.
At least we'll finally send our best, right?
I mean, we always send our best. Our best just isn't very good on the international stage. We've
Just
been
face it, man. It's outside of Cloud9. We've just been we have been the anime filler of the tournament.
I mean, time and time again, Cloud9 has just saved our butts when it comes to losing slots or being knocked out before, being knocked out in the not just play-ins, but in the group stages. Cloud9 has come to the rescue. But first things first, I guess I'd say, how are you doing, man? How you been?
Well, I'm doing okay. Looking forward to both the episodes we come tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Do let everyone know that this hopefully we'll try to keep an updated list throughout the tournament and try to cover stuff as we see fit. Personally, trying to adjust to being an adult. Kind of tough, because like I said, this is the first podcast we've done in months.
It's been a while. Well, the focus, I guess we should say, like, the focus and the goal of tonight's podcast, at least this first part, is to discuss just some ideas and some things that we're figuring out about this season or this year's World Championships. Looking at teams, looking at the playoffs, looking at the play-ins, things of that nature, and just kind of, having a conversation about that. And the next part will kind of be like a breakdown of the state of the league when it comes to low elo, average player base understanding and know-how and stuff like that, because that's where we specialize in realistically.
Yeah, as I have, is it as many of us on the one step forward, 3.5 steps back strategy with Riot when it comes to ranking. But let's not get off topic. First of all, we all know that right now, as of now, you can now buy tickets for the play-ins, and is it all the way up through the quarterfinals, nearly up to the quarterfinals on the. Is it check Law Esports for the tickets, Cinemex for anyone who's going to the play-ins, also down the Esports Arena in Mexico City. The quarterfinals, the groups and quarterfinals we played in New York City, and is it in MSG's theater, which King is hopefully will be attending to give us all the live reviews.
I think that may go to the one in Madison Square Garden, thinking about taking the trip to LA. I think that'll be a blast for the final. Oh, it's in San Fran? Oh, yeah, because it's at the Staples Center.
It's at the Chase Center.
It's at the Chase Center.
It's in the Chase Center, of which is funny because for those who don't know, League of Legends started with some guys from Stanford in San Fran. So the World Championship is being held back in Riot's hometown of San Francisco. Now, Riot's headquarters are now in LA, but they started in Northern Cali because they were all Stanford students.
Yeah.
Fun fact of the day.
With many more to come. But if you're tuning in, hopefully you enjoy this. If you do enjoy the information or you just want to kick it and come back later, feel free to subscribe. Click the like button because it does help. And all of this is free. This is on YouTube, so you don't have to subscribe as far as like a payment or anything like that. If you like to come over to the stream, we tend to stream during the evening hours. The schedule kind of fluctuates, but generally I've been transitioning my evening streams to a little bit earlier, between, I don't know, like 4 and 6 Eastern Standard Time, and then ending just about whenever, but we're still figuring out the timelines for that. Other than that, I think we should probably pick a region, or maybe we could talk about the group draw. I think that'll be probably the most interesting. So
let me go ahead and pull that up, because unfortunately, I have right now, for those who don't know, I have all the play-in teams pulled up. I don't have group draw in front of me. So
I have
King,
the
why don't you hit that up while I go get the
Okay,
draw?
so as far as the group draw are concerned, we had our region. The members that made it from China were JDG or Jingdong Gaming, Top Esports, Edward Gaming, who are the reigning world champions. Then in Korea, you had Genji, uh, T1, and Damwon Gaming, Kia, but everybody just calls them Damwon. From Europe, you have Rogue and G2 Esports. From North America, you have Cloud9, 100 Thieves. And then from the PCS region, you have the Flying Oysters. And from Vietnam, we get the return of our boys, the Gigabyte Marines. All right, or Gam Esports. But we all know Gigabyte Marines back, boy. We happy, we lit. Now the way those broke down are all of these first seeds. So your first seeds were Jindong Gaming, Genji, Rogue, Cloud9, and then I believe they put Flying Oysters in pool two, but seed one, pool two, and then Gam was in pool three, just to balance it out because they're going to get four teams from the play-in stage. So for the four teams that qualify from the play-in stages. Now the teams that are in the play-in stage are Road Ever Give Up, DRX, Fnatic, Mad Lions, Beyond Gaming, Evil Geniuses, Saigon Buffaloes, That Nation Focus Me, Chief Esports, Istanbul Wildcats, Isarus, and Loud, which is the Brazil team. What am I going to say? Oh, for the most part, we have a decent understanding of, or not even decent understanding. They did the group draw, so we know exactly where each group is set up, except for the ones that will be entering through the play-ins. So currently in Group A, you have Cloud9, T1, and EDG. And then, of course, the way the groups work is if you were to be entered into this group, you just can't have two of the same regions in the same group. So you can't have a North American, Korean, or Chinese team in this group. Group B, Jingdong, G2, and Damwon Kia. I personally think this is a group of death. I think this group is going to be fighting. They about to just be fighting. Why? Because JDG is scrappy. G2 knows how to fight their way out of a paper bag. And Damwon is probably the most aggressive team that Korea is sending.
So essentially, this is the Black Air Force Energy Group.
Yes.
Everyone will give you these hands.
Oh
That
yeah.
being,
It's going to be about the early game skirmishes, the early objective fights, the tower dives that turn into multi people teleports. So this is actually going. I think this group is going to be the scrappiest, and um, you know, any team can make it out of this group. Group C is Rogue, Top Esports, and Gigabyte Marines, and then Group D is Genji, Flying Oysters, and 100 Thieves. So, with that being said, if you will, I believe you have the information on where they could like potentially land and all that, right?
I have is it basically as you said earlier. Cloud is it in Group A? Cloud9, T1, and Edward. The as it breaks down, the only teams that could end up in this group would be the following: is Chief Esports from Oceania in Group A, Nation Focus Me, not is it Fnatic could be in that group.
It should be, yeah, it would be Fnatic, Beyond, Detonation, Focus Me.
Beyond.
I think it might be. I think it actually might be easier just to say which teams can't be in the group, right? So effectively, Evil Geniuses can't get placed in the group. DRX can't be placed, and
Fnatic can't be put in the group.
Is that in the first one? No, in Group A, it'd be.
Yeah, no, because it wouldn't be Roll couldn't get in this group, correct?
Yes,
Roll
yes.
could not get in this group. Roll could not get in this group because the fact that that's a Chinese team and Edward's a Chinese team.
Also because Ian, calm down. Also because Rogue is the number one seed in Group C. That's why they can't be placed in the group. So from Group A, as far as the play-ins groups are concerned, right? The teams that
Yeah,
can't the teams that can't make it in Group A is Evil Geniuses because they're the NA team. Every other team in Group A can potentially go into group or in play in Group A can make it into Group A. In Group B, DRX, Royal Never Give Up are the only two that can't make it in because it's Korean. So at least everybody else.
it's in Rogue. It's no, I've never.
Rogue,
Wait,
you keep on bringing up
correction,
Rogue One,
correction.
Rogue One.
Lions can't get in this group. Lions can't get in this group. I'm sorry.
Mad Lions, yeah, Mad Lions.
Matt can't get in this group.
I keep
Matt
on forgetting about Mad Lions myself, but yeah, Mad Lions can't make it into group
B.
B. But yeah, so
Now the cool part about Group C is this: you can catch a Korean at any time in this group.
oh yeah,
But
Group C, I feel like is low key going to be end up being a group of is going to end up being the group of death as far as we understand it, where it's like it's stacked and you're just hoping that a non-Asian Western team makes it. Like you're hoping that like not hoping because I'm Western extraordinaire. Like I love Korean teams, I love Chinese teams, and I think Europe is on the come up and NA just needs to work a lot harder, right? So but normally, the general from NA mentality is like, oh, you either want an NA team to get as far as they can, even if they're not that good, which I don't understand, or you want to just get further than Europe. And in Group C, because they have a Chinese team, they have a European team, and they have the is it still the Southeast Asian or how are they? What is their denomination? Vietnamese team. Yeah, with Gigabyte Marines, which means a Korean team could get in there, a North American team could get in there, Japan with Detonation Focus Me could get in there.
Anyone not named Mad Lions and Fnatic can get in that group.
It could be pretty hype. And then with Group D, that one also potentially could become a group of death for NA and the Flying Oysters if realistically it would be
If
Royal. It'd be Royal. Like you'd be stuck because Royal won MSI this year, so you'd be stuck playing against the reigning MSI champions in your group, which doesn't seem like a good time, right?
Now then again, you forget the great equalizer about World.
Best of ones.
That is no.
Okay.
Because remember, we saw us with the great Doing B and TN. We saw it with them. The patch changed on them.
Oh, we will get into that. That is on the docket on my end. We will talk. I call it the black box of the World Championship dilemma because it's a double-edged sword. But we can get into that right now if you want to talk about that.
Basically, as a teaser, we call it a teaser in the business kids. The idea is this: we could call these groups a group of life, group of death, but the problem will always go back to this: what does the tournament meta look like? Because we know 12-17 will probably be the tournament patch. So the question then becomes, where does the meta shift? We saw Yumi kick in last year, change the game. That being said, King, back to you.
Okay, so let's talk about let's set up the segment. Thanks again, because this I can clip this and then start it. So we're gonna set up the segment right here and now. What is the League of Legends World Championship black box? Right. So this is a theory that I've been working on. No, it's not I'm not the first person to think of it, but excitingly enough, it happens year and time again, where the world champion happens. Well, the end of the seasons for all the other competitive divisions, leagues wrap up, and they normally end on patch. Let's call it patch 15. So I think China, Korea, LCS, and LCK all finished on patch 12.15 this year, right? So 12.15, leading up to 12.15, they normally do like a mid-season patch that they don't do anymore, but they clearly still do, where they make a big shift change, right? But then after that, its lead up to the playoffs. So the playoffs trying to get set up and standardized as we've seen the meta fill out. And that normally ends patch 15, point 15 or 0.15. Then we get one patch really for us as far as standard solo queue players, and then patch 17 and 18, because 18 is the definitive. They might do a hot fix on 18 depending if something's way too overtuned or too broken or something, but 18, 18.5, so 0.18.5 may end up being, hey, what up, Chuck, welcome to the show, may end up being what's the word I'm looking for. Oh no, 18 is the patch the world's going to be played on. The issue when it comes to the black box is when the teams travel to do their boot camping, to do their training, to prepare for this tournament, because the tournament again is a month long, a month and a half, or a month long in its own right. When they travel for this tournament, they prepare so that they can go and compete at the highest level. Not only are they removed from whatever the patch was that they won on, so a team may have won on a patch that was what's the word I'm looking for?
Team fight, is it like maybe mid-centric patch like in the past where you had the season 3 we had where whoever could get that early gank off that could get the snowball with DFG, or like the season 2, season 3, season 4 strats where it's all about whoever can get the one solo laner going to get the rest of the team going that can impact the map.
So yeah, effectively, like let's just say at the end of the 15 patch, the point 15 patch, the meta is enchanters, right? But then because they saw how strong and powerful enchanters were, they nerf enchanters, they nerf healing, and by the time you get to patch 18, the meta's completely different. So a team that may have players that can only kind of play one style, or that are only really, really good at a certain win condition, is now in a position or in a place where they're kind of stuck having to relearn a meta, adapt to the meta, and a team that may have looked godlike on 15 may look average or even subpar on 18, right?
Yep.
Let alone that now a meta is hyper developing in those practices and scrims, right? So the example that I'll use is last year's 2021 World Championship. Going into the World Championship, the game was very much about engage and early team fights, because that's generally what happens when you have early engage. Then the early game team fighting is kind of what takes over the game, right? SKT effectively changed the entire meta of the tournament day one, game one, when they locked in Yuumi, because they had been playing and practicing and playing against Yuumi in scrims, and they had learned and figured out this champion is really, really, really strong. So everything that anyone had already prepared for went out of the window. It kind of curved the way drafts were going to be, shaped and crafted. Because there was one point leading up to that World Championships when they're doing the boot camps and you're watching their VODs, you're watching their live streams, things like that. Vi mid had become a counter to Yasuo and Yone, because they were prevalent and super strong in the mid lane in the meta. So that had come out of nowhere. And then the counter to the Vi, there were things like set mid that had come back, even though it wasn't the strongest pick at the time, but it was two bruisers in the mid lane that had the ability to engage. There were all these things leading up to Worlds. And then the next thing you know, but that was all predicated on the idea that if you had Vi and Set in the mid lane, and then you had like Nautilus and Alistair in the bot lane with early, not maybe not early game, but like mid game 80 carries, your Zayas, your Kaisas, things of that nature, right? But that completely got twisted on its head, got turned upside down the second they locked in Yuumi, because then all the Yuumi Ezreal players had to do was sit back, let Ezreal hit his 2.5, 3 items. It's game. Easy clap.
Can I interject real quick?
What's up?
I'm going back through the law wiki, right? And
yeah,
and you brought the fact that how it changed the game, right?
Yeah.
As you go through, I went looking for Yuumi. Yumi's win rate during that time was at 53.3, and the issues that the game she was wound up being played in was 15. Like, played by 15 players. She was featured in 15 games. During that time period, she was 8-7. So it got to a point where teams won or lost on that pick.
So generally what ended up happening there, where you started seeing teams that couldn't play or didn't understand how to utilize Yumi trying to pick Yumi away because it was such a strong pick in that world championship. You were having teams where their best champions or their best players are people who play what's the word I'm looking for?
Aggressive.
Yeah, you would have somebody like Hillisang or something that's known for his engaged champions. You know what I mean? His Alistair. His playmakers. Huh?
I may have spoken there. Is it she was picked up. She was banned 69 times in that tournament.
Oh yeah, because she became pick or ban. It, like when I say morphed the meta of the championship last year, it really did. And those bans became red side bans they became red side bans because you couldn't let them first pick Yumi, right? Mm-hmm. So she was literally the definition of pick or ban for the majority of the tournament. I think later on in the tournament, people started playing Lulu and Nami, but that effectively completely changed the way the game had been played leading up to that. Because leading up to that, you were looking at engaged champions, you're looking at fighting champions, brawler, skirmish champions in the support role. And the way you generally want to craft a team is you start off, like, you either want to start with your carries and build around your carries, or you want to start off with your role-playing champions and then figure out which carries fit into the role players, right? So if you're playing Yumi as your main support, that means your best bet is most likely going to be between Ezreal and like Jhin, right?
Because people that can stay far back where Yumi's safe, but if they were to get dove, Yumi can always give the assist to Jhin to get him out fast.
Exactly.
Not to mention that free little poke sets up the Jhin trap, which then sets your chain of your demise.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. You get tagged by Yumi auto or a Yumi Q, and then Jhin hits you with the W. And I believe the meta for the jungle in that year, you can look at the stats, but was that with the Udyr, Hecarim, Volibear?
Give me 1 second.
Yes, please do. Because I think this is when Chem... What is it called? Chem... Yeah, I think this is when Chem Tank was broken. It might have been Skarn. It might have been like Skarner, Udyr, Volley, or Skarner, Udyr, Hecarim.
As of now, this is what I have. The most played champion during that time was Lee Sin, Xin Zhao, Jarvan.
Oh, okay. Wait. Yeah, no. So the beginning of this season was that Chemtech meta. That was yeah. Yeah, so
I was looking at last year's world. So
no. You're right. No, I misremembered. It was the beginning of this year was the chem tank meta, but at that world, this was before they had nerfed Xin Zhao. Xin Zhao, I think, was the strongest jungler on the world's patch on the it would be an 11.18 or something like that. I believe it was Xin Zhao, and then the counter Xin Zhao would at least go toe to toe with Xin. It was another aggro jungler with Lee Sin. And then who was the last one that you mentioned?
This is Jarvan.
J4,
Top 3 was Lee Sin at 22, was played 50.
Yeah.
Was picked 58 times.
So in the jungle, basically Xin Zhao was the one that kind of crafted the narrative. Again, when you're talking about high level of play and junglers that can literally just stomp out other competitors. So if we're talking about like Korean and Chinese junglers, I guess is what I'm trying to say, that feel that they can stomp out emerging regions, wildcard regions, North America, and certain EU junglers, they're gonna style on them with Lee Sin because they just feel like Lee Sin is the jungler's jungler. You know, like if you show up to a game and you lock in Lee Sin first pick, you're like, I'm here to destroy your jungler. Right.
It's time to run them pockets.
Yeah. It's like pull up. What's up? So, but yeah, I remember now. Yeah, definitely. Xin Zhao shaped that jungle meta heavily, And that was also in part due to, okay, so if you have a carry jungler, you have effectively a safe AD carry and a enchanter with like Yumi or whatever, right?
Yep.
You're looking at, and then top lane was generally, I want to say, just standard engaged, like Ornn and stuff was super popular. Um, and then control mage mid lanes, because that's just how world normally runs. It's not like back in the day where you would see somebody like lock in Zed at Worlds and like try to go ham. You feel me?
Yeah, I said, and just to make sure, I'm gonna pull this up for top lane.
Appreciate you.
Cook Cherry for the 21 season. Brett, oh, hold up, you forgot something.
What I forget?
Grace, Jace, Kennen, Gwen top. What's the thing?
Oh, damn it! Yeah, no, you got me. It wasn't the tank top meta because it wasn't. Yeah, Gwen. I keep on forgetting. Gwen was broken. Gwen was legitimately broken. Gwen was absolutely broken. She was. If Yumi was the strongest support on the patch, Gwen was probably the strongest top laner.
You realize that
because
she
this
only
is
won 36 of her games.
Yeah, again, you can. Okay, here's the thing. All right, not everybody who's good on Gwen is going to be able to play her. Like, first of all, she's going to be banned a hell of a lot of time, and when she does make it through,
19.
yeah,
12 times. 19 played, 12 bans.
So she was banned half the time, that almost half the time, right? That's like 40, 43. Huh?
And only won 7 games on the channel.
Yeah. So the people that can really, really play her probably never got her. Again, teams are scouting. They're doing their best to make sure that good teams don't get hands on the champions that they're really, really good on. Yeah, J4 was really, really strong. But mainly it was just like J4, farm up, either poke out Gwen because you can. Graves? Did you say Graves was top lane in that meta?
Yes. Graves was played.
Oh, like, okay, yeah, 369. 369 was smashing everybody. Yeah.
And yes, with a 61% win rate, banned 13 times, lost 13
was
times.
Was it 369? Am I tripping? Now I have to look up last year's teams. Now you got me mashed up.
That's what I do.
It probably wasn't 369. I'm probably tripping.
369 is the
top from this year. This year he's on top.
But last year he was on, because as of last year, if I pull it up, it's 2021 World's Player Stats, right?
Yeah.
369 is now on the list.
Okay. Who am I misremembering?
Champion. Let's see. Known for his champion. You probably think of Flair who did play.
There's Flandre. Okay.
Khan.
Khan. Oh, that was Khan's last year. I think he either had to go to the military service or he was just straight up retiring, right?
Let's find out.
Are you just gonna read everything on the law wiki?
Yeah. Hey. If it's here, it's here.
The information is there. You're right. Better than me misremembering people and then kind of rolling with it. So it's fair. That's fair.
No. Yeah, his Jace had a 9% win rate in 2017.
Did you say 90?
In LCK Summer 2017.
Yeah. Khan was on top of his ish. Ooh, Summit.
Yeah. Is it there? Oh, is it that? Splits. Nope, they said nothing about him had to leave.
Anyway, not to get too derailed or too distracted.
He's on one LCK split when he was on Kings on Dragon X and got knocked out Freak in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's it.
All in all, the issue of what develops during the hyperbolic time chamber that is the preparation for Worlds ends up making League the World Championships very, very hard to like when we do the pick'ems, right? There's by the time you make it out of group stage, it goes from like 1 trillion people got it right to like 6 people are left and 1 person has a chance to get the whole bracket. You know what I mean? Like, so
Welcome to March, baby. Except in fall.
yeah. So it's one of those things where yes, we will still make our predictions onto who we think or who we believe will or has the best opportunity, has the best chance to make it to Worlds. But realistically, yeah, it's always difficult because the teams that leave their respective regions looking broken, strong, OP. Like last year was the year I believe. I think I called Fun Plus Phoenix winning the whole thing, and then they went in. The patch changed, the meta changed. Their players didn't show up in the form that they were during their while they were in season, and they didn't make it out of groups. They didn't make it out of groups. Like
they were eliminated.
Yeah, yeah. It's like I don't know how many brackets got busted by FPX straight up just flopping last season.
Yeah, but that's just how it works.
That is how it works. Well, that's gaining a better understanding of, like I said, understanding or figuring out. So right now, the best thing to do would be like, okay, look at what's strong on patch, what was strong on patch 15, and then look at the changes that they've made to the overall strongest things from 15, 16, 17, 18. Because if you think about it from then to now, right now on patch, we're on 17, right? Yeah, we're on 17. So right now, like Miss Fortune is busted. Miss Fortune was strong before, early on in the season. She's the strongest AD carry on this patch. Period. She's the strongest AD carry, and Ian and I are going to start running Curse of the Sad Bullet time in the bot lane. He's going to be playing Amumu. I'm going to be playing Miss Fortune because I do believe when it comes to aggressive aggro supports, the strongest aggro support is probably Amumu. So if you have Amumu bot lane, Miss Fortune support, or Miss Fortune reverse those, Miss Fortune AD carry, Amumu support, and then in the mid lane you're looking at, I don't know, solo queue is so much different than pro play. I would just say, but those picks are very very good, right? I still think professionals have an understanding of how to utilize Yumi, and with the buff the Ezreal that they made on patch 12.16, that puts Ezreal back into contention for every, I would say, Korean AD carry and Chinese AD carry. Mainly the Korean ones because they seem to have, well, I think the highest elo AD carry main right now, or Ezreal main, is Chinese, and he's a beast. But regardless of that, you're not looking at the same bot lane metas even, right? Draven is still ridiculously strong. They haven't done anything to. I think just this patch they nerfed Draven. If I'm actually thinking with my head, right? I'm gonna scroll down real quick. MF got a hot fix, or was it last patch they nerfed Draven? I think it was last patch, but it wasn't even that. It wasn't like a huge nerf.
It's 12-16 nerf.
Yeah, so last patch they nerfed Draven, right? So
yes, they took his they knocked down his damage by 5. So
yeah.
his spinning axes start at 40, 45, 50, 55, 60 on base.
So at the end of the day, it's not a complete 180, like, oh, the game is completely different, like it's a mid-season patch, because they learned their lesson from the Juggernaut patch, right? They're not trying to roll into Worlds with 5 champions that completely curve the meta. But what they are trying to do is maybe have like 1 or 2 that make the game less stale, and like 3 more that throw a little bit of a curveball because either they're not as strong as they were before and teams haven't adapted and are still playing this champion. And like Kennen's going to be huge. Like they basically nerfed Kennen the entire season just to give him a super buff. Last patch 4, going into Worlds. Like, yes, Kennen is super exciting to see, but at the end of the day, it's like, there's so many champions in the game, they could buff a slew of them and it would still make for entertaining league play, right?
Yep.
I think the other issue is professional players get locked into like a pattern. They want to play the same champions kind of like over and over and over, and they're comfortable, comfort picks. They understand how they work in the team fight and things like that. So unless a champion that comes out is kind of straightforward and easy for them to play, or if they really, 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 really generally like the champion, then they're going to be playing that, playing like like you're going to see Azir, you're going to see who maybe some LeBlancs, you're going to see Kennen, you may even see a few. You're definitely going to see like Ornn, just like run of the mill things. I think my sleeper pick for Worlds this year that'll end up becoming pick or ban is going to be Udyr. I think Udyr is going to be one of the best flex picks between jungle AD or jungle top, and if they get really really cheeky, you could play like they could play like a support Udyr that like maxes the stun and builds tank and tenacity and all that, but still does way too much damage for his own good. I think he's gonna be. I think he's gonna be pick and ban. Vex has potential to be pick and ban because Vex is still absolutely bonkers broken, but and they haven't done any changes. Do you have any picks or anything that you think when it comes to champion picks?
Looking back, was played in the last batch on 16 here. This is pretty much playing 16, and this is what scares me.
Are you talking about for pro play or?
Pro play. This is for
Okay.
pro play. Yumi has had 100% presence, but she's been banned 11 straight times.
Oh yeah.
Banned a turn four every time. She's not got to play a game yet, but she has her and Silver, because it probably makes that bot lane's kind of like how you insert Senna to any tank equals lane of death.
I mean tank or mage or whatever. Yeah.
But is it going, or is I really want to see how. I know we get a control mana, and I was like, I doubt we see a Enchantress as strong as I want them to be. But Ragnarok Glass might be the thing that breaks the camel's back, because Riot, even the live players point out, Ragnarok Glass is almost broken in a stage that, as an enchanter that shoots a gun, that they Riot nerfs her by only nerfing her base AD.
I mean, Renata Glass is what I would consider one of the 200 years champions or whatever, but in a good way. Surprisingly, I think when I play her, at least, right, I've only played her a few times. I feel like the sluggishness in her kit makes up for how absolute bonkers it is, straight up, because her kit at the end of the day has a hook, it has a shield, it has a zillion ultimate, which is also a movement speed. Does it increase attack speed?
Is it not actually?
I can't remember, but it's a steroid, and then the icing on the cake is her "I'm gonna make you fight your team." Now, the only reason why I think Renata Glass isn't currently pick or ban, and she did see some play, but the only reason why I think she's currently not pick or ban is because pro players. Did I get it? Is because pro players have their propensity to dodge slow skill shots. Like, you really have to set up the fight. So, which again, they're also on the other side, the team that's trying to utilize it, Renata Glass is good at. So, a team comp that you could see could potentially end up being something like Kennen, Udyr, Azir.
In a moon, probably.
Well, no, I'm saying with Renata. I just don't know who the AD would end up. Misfortune Renata, right? Like, that'd be a team that would be really really difficult to deal with, because yeah, you'd have Udyr running, basically doing his best impression of Olaf, running through your team, not being able to be CC to get to your back line. Now, if you're trying to peel for her, you generally turn to like group to stop the Udyr. Oh, stop the Udyr, right? When that happens, Kennen flash jumps over the wall or proto belts out of the brush and starts doing his stun. When that started, Renata is now rolling her ultimate towards you, which just leaves who did I say that? Who? Yeah.
Takeover. Which, by the way, then.
Or if you're at the enemy team is flashing out, dashing out, trying to get away, you have the Shurima shuffle to say, nope, you go right back in there. And then whatever AD carry, it can be Sivir, it can be whoever, because Sivir still provides great utility. It's just going to round out the damage and everything. Now, not saying that's unstoppable because imagine they pick a Braum, that stops the Renata ult. They pick maybe because Renata's so
It does.
strong
It
and
doesn't stop the ult.
doesn't it hit Braum shield?
It goes straight through.
No shot.
It says yeah. It says round sends out a chemical wave berserking enemies everywhere, causing priorities. It won't block. It doesn't.
What I would
It's a,
assume Braum is the only one that gets affected. Like he gets hit because Braum still has
we
weird
could test
CC
it.
effect.
We could run that. We could run that test.
Yeah,
But the problem is getting the 6 to be able to do it.
I mean we just have to farm for like 10 minutes or something.
How does one farm on Braum?
Huh? You just take. I literally. You wouldn't be playing him to play like support Braum. You take like 80. You take 80 and press the attack or something or whatever, so that you can last hit well and start off with a Doran's sword or a long sword or something. Because all you're doing is you're just trying to make sure you're farming until you get 6, and then you. It's like a practice tool thing, but since you need 2 people, you have to do it in a custom game. But anyway, going back to it, what I'm saying is because of certain picks, huh?
Also interject the bailout. Is it the bailout? It does grant move and grant attack speed. It gave percentage attack speed and movement speed towards the enemy and attack speed. It's increasing attack speed over 5 seconds.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it's a steroid. So imagine Renata Glass becomes Picker Ban, Yumi becomes less, and all of a sudden like Yasuo is meta because of his win wall, and Braum's meta because Ezreal becomes popular. So instead of whoever I said for 80, let's say it's Ezreal. So you have a bunch of these projectile engages, right? That's gonna inevitably make a champion like Yasuo or Braum better, especially if Gnar is still a good top laner or something. You can always use Yasuo as a Gnar counter. You know what I mean? There's so much layers to drafting and things of that nature when it comes to pick and bans. And like I said, Riot has a really, really bad habit of rebuffing champions that we already saw last year because they haven't been popular enough over the course of the year. So like the Ken, like I said, the Kennen buff was weird. The Graves buff was weird. Hecarim buff also weird. But the Hecarim more or less got a rework. Speaking of rework, we could go into our next segment and talk about tree. No, not just yet. We will. That's another precursor about the tree.
That reminds. Just back up what you said. I just sent you. In Challenger, she has a 45% win rate. In Diamond, she has a 51. And she's top 5. She's top 2. Everywhere else she's top 2. But as you said earlier, as you mentioned that slow skill shots take. Skill shots that are easy to take, have quick tails and slow, make it hard to hit. And I think that may be your proof because she's banned 60% of the time, only picked 11%, but she's also losing games hard. It's a 49% win rate, so that kind of supports your claim that Renata, as much as she's broken in solo queue, may not be broken unless Riot does something different, like they always seem to do. Especially they want to punch a new skin out, right?
Right.
Because generally Riot also buffs the champion that's going to get a new skin.
True. That is true. Skin buff. Everybody knows skin buff. But if you remove it from just being challenger, just go plat plus, just to see the general strength of the champion. She is at a 51 point, almost at a 52% win rate.
But as you said, most pro players, we're looking for that's the best way to tell what pro players look like.
True, but no, I know I understand what you did or what you're doing, but what you're doing is you're using the Gen Pop statistics to try to figure out how the pro players would play, which is like not wrong. It's just like you could look at it as like a false equivalency because when you get the higher you get, the more you get to like one tricks, right? So the fact that she even has a 5% pick rate is a little high, right?
11% fit rate.
Oh, and when you go to
Challenger.
Yeah, when you go to Challenger.
Which, by the way, if you go to just one trick, 5% play rate, 6% ban rate, 56% win rate overall.
Yeah.
Yes,
so
best carry, best support.
True.
And they're 1,700 games.
Yeah. So I like that. I think the meta could flush out and end up being wildly different than what we saw in these last handful of games. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that people try to die on their hill or die on their sword about why X team is so great and so good and it's going to be the greatest team in the world and why they're going to win worlds. And then when that doesn't, like I said, I've already fell victim to it last year because look at the LPL playoffs. Look at the LPL season and playoff, and tell me that FPX isn't going to win Worlds. And then you get to Worlds, and they literally bomb out. It is what it is, right?
Yep.
This year, right? So like this year, my prediction, at least for the end game of Worlds, has been I truly think, right? I think currently, I think Genji is playing some of the best League of Legends that I've ever seen. Period. I think they especially on again the patch and the meta that they've had during the season and on during the playoffs, right? They played some of the best, cleanest, most stompy league. I mean, they 3-0'd SKT. Like, come on, right? So they're playing at, I would say, out of 10, Genji would be like as close to 10 as you can be without, so like a 9.5, right? Whereas then I would say Damwon, SKT, DRX. Let's just go with like SKT. I think SKT is playing at like a 7.5. I don't think they're playing too well. I think Damwon's at like a 7, 7.5, depending on the day. And then DRX is at like a 6, which is probably the lowest average. Like, so removing Gen G, I would have Korea at like a 7. That's pretty low in my, and I'm the person that, I'm a Korean, I'm a fan of the Korean League of Legends scene, right? And I think without Gen G, this would be Korea's probably worst showing. Now is it because Gen G is so much better that like the it's a weighted scale, so even the rest of the teams at a 7 out of Korea are still like 10s in the rest of the world? We'll find that out when we get to the tournament. But currently I would have them at, like I said, I would have Genji at a 9.5, the rest of the teams at a 7.5 to 6. But then you go over to China, and I think JDG and Top Esports are at like a 9. So if Genji's at a 9.5, both of those teams are at a 9, like a solid 9, because they play so dynamically. They play so well and dynamically, like different, but still, like they took each other to 5 games twice in a row to close out the season, and it's just exciting, compelling gameplay to watch, right? You're seeing the analytical outplays of setting up vision and dragons and making picks and way they choreograph team fights, and then how to play and fight from behind and how to stall out when you're in disadvantage, so that way you can get at least back into a somewhat even footing, right? Like, they're doing all these things, and they're doing it well. They're doing it like really, really well, and that's between, like I said, JDG, Top Esports, and then you still have RNG and EDG, where EDG is still like a classic kind of like stand. Like, I would say EDG and SKT probably have especially being in the same group. Like, EDG and SKT, name a better duo. I'll wait, because they're always in each other's groups, right? So, at the end of the day, what I would say is, like, they're playing the best standard League of Legends. So, but I still think EDG is playing a better game of standard League of Legends than SKT. So I'd put them at an 8, and RNG at like a 6. So yes, the average is wider, but they have 2 really, really high notes, right? And then you have like a Rogue that actually looks like they're ready to play. Hopefully they don't like choke or have any issues, since they're going into an international tournament, and they're actually able to bring the same fight that they brought into the finals. If they do that, Rogue's at an 8.5 for me.
Right.
Huh?
They did beat G2.
They 3-0 G2. They crushed them. They destroyed them. Huh?
And keep in mind, G2 was like one ban away from winning Worlds.
Like 3 years ago. Can't live in the past on that one. Just can't. That was what, 2019?
And here's the thing, on their home turf. That was the worst part.
It's all good, but what I'm saying is, like, this year we're talking about like I said, Rogue, if they show up if they show up in the same form and the black box doesn't destroy them, they are going. They're looking right now like they're an 8.5 out of 10. G2's looking a little shaken, a little worrisome. I would say G2's probably at a like 7.5. Like I guess at the end of the day, everyone going into the World Championship that's in Korea, Europe, and China are all 6.5 and higher with standouts. So like your bulk share average teams are 6.5 to like 8 or 7.5, right? So in that variance. And then there's another level of like 4 teams that are really, really knocking at that like perfect team level. And then literally, I feel like every other team is just like fighting for scraps, and they're like 5s and below.
I can understand that. I think the one thing that I know just from like the group dry off is that the groups of this Flying Oysters might be it could be the fun pick. It's like this might be the year where NA may get send 2 teams to quarters. Maybe.
I mean, North America
Maybe.
didn't look super promising coming out of their playoffs and finals.
Remember that black box though. The black box theory.
But the black box never bodes well for North America because the way it normally works is what North America figures out. So again, it normally works. They're learning right now. The teams are learning what's up with this or what the patch that's coming out. 18, right? Then they're going to start scrimming and boot camping, and it's going to develop its own little scrim boot camp meta. And then the next stage is when you actually go into tournament and the in-tournament meta develops. Now, sometimes when the black box scrim tournament is set up and created and it mirrors the tournament meta, then whoever was doing the best in the scrims and in the black box tend to win out. But when the meta is completely different or shifts from what was going on during those practices, and teams are like, well, we were playing these, because you'll hear them in the interviews. It's like, well, normally we were playing Callista Braum, but now we have to transition to Yumi Ezreal, and that's something that we, weren't all too prepared for, but we're making changes, and our coaching staff is that they'll say stuff like that in either interviews or post-game interviews, things like that. But historically, NA has always done we're in the black box. We think we're the best teams in the world, and all the other teams are basically just like clowning us and punking us. Like NA doesn't realize that they're like the not popular kid that thinks they're popular or whatever. Like
they suffer from. They think they're anime protagonists.
Yeah, like they think they're the anime protagonist. So like, think of all the times where it's been in interviews where they're like, "Oh yeah, we were like beating SKT, and we were crushing MVP Ozone in scrims, and man, we really had them." And then they get to or Samsung White, and then they get to the World Championship, and they're getting styled on. They're getting absolutely obliterated. They're getting almost shut out in games, and they look like it looks like a high school team versus an NFL team, right? Like how many times have we seen that play out? How many times has that happened time and time again, right? Where these NA teams are so hyped up, they think they're doing a really good job. They're going to come into the World Championships and finally win one for NA and show everybody who's boss, and then they get absolutely destroyed and embarrassed. It's worse. They get embarrassed. Like TSM went 0-6, 2 years ago?
That was last year. 06.
No shot. No, wasn't it 2020 Worlds? I don't think TSM made it to Worlds last year, bro. I don't think TSM made.
Let us pull up the handy dandy calculator of time.
Right? Nah, TSM didn't make it to Worlds last year.
It had to be 20.
You're goofing me.
It was the COVID year.
Yeah, 2020. They got knocked out and went 0-6, and last year they didn't even make it, right? I'm not tripping.
It's the only team to make it. It's actually yep, the only team that made it.
Cloud9.
Yeah, Cloud9.
Yeah.
You,
Uh,
I was sad because I wanted Unicorns to love to get in.
well, yeah. So, I guess
Deserve
what
it.
what I'm saying is, to finish the analogy, it's like teams will allow North American teams, primarily TSM, but like will allow North American teams to think that they're hanging with them, be picking off the wall troll picks and all this other stuff, and then completely flip the script when it's time to play for real. And then NA time and time and time again gets caught off guard.
Yep. Oh yeah, that's it. Not to mention Road. I think it's no, that's not it. It's it. Is it? I'm sorry. I thought I saw FPX. I think FPX got knocked out by. FPX got knocked out by Road, I believe.
I mean, they both went 2-4. And then I believe, yeah, it was like they had to win against either Rogue or Cloud9, and then they just didn't. And then Cloud9 made it with a 2-4 record also. And then Damwon Kia, if I remember correctly, Damwon dropped the ball, and then SKT dropped the ball. I think SKT lost to Damwon, and then Damwon lost to EDG. So you can let me know if I'm misremembering.
Kia beat T1 after they 3-0 Hanwha Life. But
Yeah, that's what I
then
said. I said SKT lost to Damwon, then Damwon lost to EDG.
yep.
Yeah, yeah. So it's not all cobwebs up here. Not all cobwebs. But stepping back or going back into it, this season we have, I think it's 100 Thieves, C9, and I gotta look because we
Is
have
it?
we have three, right?
Yes, you have Evil Geniuses.
EG, it's EG. I forgot it's EG. So it's yeah, it's 100 Thieves, C9, EG.
Formerly of EU Promise before they left.
Snoopy. Anyway, um,
It's a yeah. It's a sad part is this. We'll never get the joy of seeing what old EG would have done if he would have locked in Nivea. If my boy Frog and locked in Nivea in season 2.
oh, that's funny. Yeah,
If only.
man played Diana. I mean, I feel like we bring that up every episode, but it is one of those things where it's like, what would League of Legends look like? Would Korea have just had like tapped out and been like, this isn't our game? If a European team had won, and you said EG, you meant to say CLG Black,
No, that's it. No, it's CLGEU.
CLG EU, yeah, CLG EU,
They were also wore black uniforms.
yeah.
But but that's what EG was just them because they could be those sister teams, so they turned to Evil Genius.
Yeah. So but yeah, I'm hopeful for, realistically, I want SKT to win. That's my squad, that's my team. I just don't think that I I don't know whether I think it's a coaching issue. I think SKT does not have, I think Faker has been more or less strong arm coaching the team, or maybe that's the way their team dynamics are set up, but it's not working. They just basically demoted and or benched Pult from being the head coach, and now Bangi will be the head coach. And you know Faker isn't listening to Bangi. You know Faker's not listening to Bangi.
But they carried them twice.
That's what I'm saying. Faker's not listening to Bangi. He's just gonna be like, all right, so remember those world championships that you have thanks to me? Yeah, I'm the coach. I'm the coach. That's how this works. I'm the coach.
So it's just a very bad rumor. Like, so what if Faker leaves?
Wait. Oh, I think I just read that for this world's Udyr will be disabled.
That's the happiest news in the world. Now, if
So
only they can disable him in live, right? That'd be great.
so that's
Yes,
kind of crazy.
would be disabled due to the cancellation of LCL and the assist slot not awarded to Europe as a region forms the past 2 years. That before. Yep. It said, what's LCL?
SIC. It's another region that's not coming to the tournament, probably because of COVID restrictions and whatnot. But
Oh, that's the Russia region, man.
oh
No,
then this CIS, that's the Gambit Gaming and all them.
it's a the EU teams of old that because of the franchise model get kicked out of EU, even though they set
Right?
Vegas
Don't care
out.
if it don't make dollars and it don't make sense. All right. But no, all that aside, what was I gonna say? Oh, if they, I mean, with Udyr disabled, that's actually one that's kind of messed up in a way, right? So it's messed up because you could just enable old Udyr, right? You could just play the before rework Udyr and have him as a champion on the patch. Like, why are you disabling him for the entire tournament? He's not picker ban or anything right now, but he would be. He'd be, like I said, he'd be the biggest flex pick, top and uh
Jungle.
jungle. But now, like, that whole beginning thing where I was going on about like team comps and stuff like that, like if Udyr's not there, then we're probably going to see the same stale like Ornn, Aatrox, maybe some Kennons, Gnar. It's nothing crazy. And there are enough
But
really really good top laners that are good.
did you also
That'll.
disable Lucian when he came out?
Oh boy, I would have to really look back on that. That's what, season 3.
Yeah, he came out season 3. Played him in season 4.
I thought he came out in like pre season 3 or something.
He
Or
was out. He was in season 4.
season. Was he disabled? I have no idea. I'm looking. I do not see any information on
Nope,
disabled champions.
he was not disabled, but he wasn't out. I think he came out like right because what happened when they did the finals. That's when they brought him out for that. They brought him out for that, so he was out towards the end of the finals on live. He
Yeah,
wasn't out.
that's what I'm saying. He was Lucian. Lucian basically, effectively came out after the season or after the championship or during the championship, but wasn't on the
Oh,
patch, right?
Gragas was disabled though.
During Worlds
2015.
2015.
That's it.
That's 2015. We're talking about season
Yeah,
3.
yeah. I was trying to.
That's
I was
like
trying to make.
2012,
Trying to
2013. I
make.
mean,
Trying to make sure I had. I was going through make sure I had everything right. But
but
yeah,
anyway, what was I gonna say? Now, if a what's what I'm looking for? If there are upsets where I don't know. Actually, I don't think there are going to be upsets in the top teams. I don't see a world. The only way there are going to be upsets is because the format is still best of ones in the group stage, right?
yep.
And so and best of one suck because you don't really get to see the totality of drafting strategy change up, you know.
And you've already covered this once before. If you want to check out one of the earlier episodes of the podcast, King is it King did break down the joy in formatting changes if he ran league.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, there's just so much that they could do to actually make the tournament not just to bundle up the essence of the reason why it's difficult. Is because you either want the best tournament or you want an entertaining tournament. And the way League of Legends is structured, you can't have both because games go too long. If League of Legends games were like 15 or 20 minutes, then you could have the best of both worlds. But because the games generally tend to run between 25, 30, sometimes 40 minutes, and of course the super slug out, drag out long matches, it's very, very difficult to be like, oh, we're going to run like a double round robin, double elim tournament where, we're going to really get to the bottom of who the best team in the world is with proper seeding and not this weird best of one stuff. If they did it that way, the tournament would end up being like
2 months long,
like 2.5 months.
which which would be great if they canceled the split.
It'd be perfect if they canceled the spring split. Another topic from an earlier conversation podcast that we did.
Because how nice would Worlds be if Worlds actually ended in December? Going and then the players took 3 months. It took 3 months off,
and we're able to
I had
just do tournaments and show up when they needed to, and then the summer split. It'd be great. But regardless, we're talking about the World Championship that we're going into now. And like I said, my prediction, uh, yeah, I'm gonna hang my hat currently right now and say Genji, uh, JDG, Top Esports are my first round top. If I had to add another team, I would say probably T1. So those would be my top four. It'd be Top Esports, Genji, uh, JDG, and T1. Unless Showmaker shows up in like Brawlic Super Saiyan mode like he did when he won his championship. I still think they're missing things here and there. And going back to SKT, because I completely ran over that point. They're not playing to their strengths. Faker isn't the best player in the world anymore. He's not even the best player on his team anymore. Or it'd be a toss up between Keria and Zeus. So, realistically, you probably want to play around Zeus because he can 1v9. I think Keria is the best player, but I think because he plays support, the agency to carry just isn't always there throughout the entire game. Whereas Zeus is insane and can actually play the carries, play the champions. You can play around him. You can do like a ball comp around his, I don't know, his Fiora, his Camille. It'll be insane. But yeah, SKT does have its own issues. But Genji is just looking like it's in its best form. Genji looks like it's actually going to show up. Hopefully show up. Chovy, like, I feel like last year the entire joke was like Chovy farms and farms and farms. He's the farm guy. He's not that good, right? Right.
And once again, the doors of the church are open. The doors of the church are open.
Shout out to LS. But no, keeping it a buck. Like the issue last year was he farmed and farmed and farmed, but then he wasn't able to take that lead. He wasn't able to get enough of a lead and then utilize that lead across the map. I don't know what it was about the meta. I don't know whether it's the picks or the people stepping up, but like where Chovy would normally be in a game and have a 40, 60 CS lead, at last year's World Tournament, he was barely scraping by with like 20 CS leads. And that's not enough. That's not like the Chovy staple. So I think what he did was he went to the wood shop and he's like, okay, if I can get like a 15, 20 CS lead, let me use that half item, that component to start, beating down my opponents. So if we both back at the same time and I just show up with the extra Doran sword, I'm going to win this trade. If we back and I show up with the no magic mantle, not no magic, but the amplifying tome, I'm going to win this trade. Instead of being like, all right, I'm now 60 CS up and I've come back with like a void staff. But by then, the enemy champion's gotten like double kills on your bot lane twice. And and it feels like a lost solo queue game because you're like, please, for the love of Mike, just don't die. I'm scaling. I'm trying to get there. Just don't die. I think this year, Chovy, maybe it's because the way the team is structured, they have carries in with Ruler in the bot lane, as well as Peanut is Peanut. It's Peanut. Peanut's been the prototypical carry jungler his entire career. So that's it. That's super exciting. Like I do want this team to win championship. Like I said, if SKT can win it and clutch it out, I'll be so happy because that's my squad.
Giving Faker his, I believe, his third
fourth
championship.
Fourth, he won one in 2013 and then two back to back in I think 15-16 or 16-17. Yeah, 15-16. I think it was 13, missed a year, and then back to back. And then they should have won like 2 years ago or something like that, but dropped the ball there too.
And then it's like, yeah, like the one thing, and this is like the not so fast segment. Is it the sleepers here, and this is it from the group stage that could really make noise. Is it King will tell you that Dead Nation is really fun. Like that in the region that'd be strong. They did go 25-3 in the summer. So again, that meaning nothing due to the strengths of Japan, but Japan's on the come up. but they might be a lot of fun.
I think if Detonation Focus Me gets into group B, is it B?
Be it's like
Yes, I think if Detonation Focus Me gets in the group B, this will be the best group from an entertainment, because I think that'll be the group that they fight each other the most. The kill counter will incrementally go up with the minutes per game. I'm talking, if it's a 30-minute game, it'll be a 30 kill game. It'll be like 15 and 15 or something like that. You know what I mean? Or 17 and 14 or whatever. They're gonna be high kill games. So these are teams that generally will want to fight and skirmish and battle. The only thing is that I don't think Detonation Focus Me is at the level of the teams in this group just yet, but they won't back down. They did at MSI this year. They took who was in their group, or maybe they almost not won their group, but they were scrapping. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is. I can see where you're going with that. Let me actually pull some of this. Go back up through here, but I think the one thing that we all know, never to sleep on, is like again the joy of that black box is what change can literally change. So I'll never like count somebody out.
True.
That being said, Pickles.
I will though. I will, because I like making the bold predictions. And like right now, like picking the top Korean team, the top Asian team or Chinese team is not like the most extreme in bowl. It's not like I'm like 100 Thieves will win worlds. But like, as much as I would love for 100 Thieves or C9 to win the world championship, it's just that
just make the finals. Just make.
Bro, if they made the finals, that'd be so hype. If they made the finals in NA.
But is it only to be the jobber for somebody else? Hey, is it?
No, because I think if they were to make the finals of this tournament and they had to fight, you had to think about it, right? I think this is the best year for Cloud9 to make it out, because they overperform generally at international tournaments, and they're in a team where, like I said, I think SKT's at like a 7, and I think EDG's at a 6.5. I think Cloud9 is at like a 6, so they're relatively within range of each other. You know, they're at a 5.5, 6. So they're like right there with one another. They're going to be able to scrap and hang. I think what's the boy's name? Oh my god, why am I Berserker and oh my lord, what is the jungler's name? On because it's Berserker, Jensen, Sven, what's the tall boy's name? LS buddy, Fudge, and what is the homie's name? Holy moly, he's the MVP. Blabber, is that his name? Is it Blabber? Blabber, yes, thank God. Bro, I was losing it.
Fun fact though, he's the only American from NA on this team.
He's the what?
Jensen is it?
You mean Blabber?
He's the only American on.
Yeah, I mean the boy goated. The reason why I bang with Blabber, 100%. The reason why I bang with Blabber, right? I wish this was a C9 shirt. It's blue and white, right? The reason why I bang with Blabber 100% is because he came up during that time where every jungler, because it was it's so frustrating. Rengar was broken. It was like 5 years ago. Rengar was absolutely broken. That's when you saw like Dardoch, Arcadian, Grig, all these random junglers. Who else? There were so many of them. There were a dime a dozen. That all the one boy. Oh, what's his name? I can't even remember right now. But a bunch of them came up because Rengar was broken. If you couldn't play Rengar, like you couldn't be in the LCS, right? And then when they eventually nerfed Rengar, because this is swim. I think we called it the swimfish Rengar, where they changed his stats. His ult, you could build a Infinity Edge. His ult would literally 100 to 0 anybody with like less than 2k HP, right? And his Q did where it like swam out. It did like the arc. And then it did the center strike or whatever. Remember that Rengar?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it still said it gives me not, they only said they were 1-5 in MSI this in 2020.
Who?
Dead Nation. They
Oh,
they
oh,
they lost, they only won beat Team A's.
oh yeah, yeah, no. What I'm saying is that they looked better than like the games that they were in looked competitive versus like 3 years ago when they were literally a wild card team and they would just get stomped, right? Um. Anyway, the junglers that came up through that time, and I'm not because they're far better than we are, right? But when we're talking about the highest level of pro play, they even Dardoch, they were all effectively like just bananas on Rengar, really good on Kha'Zix, great on Lee Sin, and they were just so one dimensional. The second the meta went back from carnivore junglers to like herbivore junglers or omnivore junglers, um, those other guys fell off a cliff. That's why they're not in the league currently. That's why they're gone. That's why mainstays like Santorin are back. You know what I mean? That's why newer junglers that have entered the league, or even transplant junglers that have more variety in challenge their jungle pools, right? Champion pools are dominant. It has a lot more to do with, how should I put it? It has more to do with the variety and understanding of the jungle overall. And Blabber, I would have written off initially as like, oh, he's just another one of those Rengar junglers, right? He's just one of those guys that he came into the league when the champion was hot. He'll probably be out of here just like all of the rest of them. Literally, there's a batch of them. I wish I knew, because they're gone. I don't even remember half their names, but they're all gone now, except for Blabber. Blabber's been able to adapt. It'd almost be like Peanut is in the same class, but for Peanut it was like the year or two before, and it was everybody who could play Nidalee. Anybody who could play Nidalee well was just a professional at that point. Like Nidalee was the strongest and best jungler, and Peanut was the best Nidalee jungle player. And then they nerfed Nidalee, and she hasn't been seen in the jungle in like Rock of Ages. But Peanut's been able to adapt. Peanut has been able to adapt to the point where this season he, I would say, he definitively shaped and crafted the jungle meta that the rest of, like, he was the one that reinvigorated or re-innovated uh the poppy pick. You know what I mean? He was the one that initially he started the J4 again, and then created basically the counter to the meta that he had started by getting the poppy to stop the J4. Like, he's been playing phenomenally. So it's really, really interesting to see where these junglers are going to be. Like I said, I do want Belabord who win. I want like I said, if C9 makes it through groups, right? They've already made it through a difficult group to begin with. Then, because Fnatic's going to be in their group most likely. It'll be Fnatic. If C9 can make it through that group, they would have made it through three world champions. And I know people don't count the first worlds, but I do, because it's on the books. You gotta keep it right, right?
Yep.
So if they make it through, that'll be the only group with three former world champions. And if C9 can make it out of that group, I'll be hyped. I will be, because they make it through SKT, they make it through EDG, and Fnatic. That's amazing. Dude, the likelihood of that happening in their current form is like 30-70 for me right now, because I don't think they match up well against the jungle mids, but I think their bot lanes would go even, if not do a little better, because Berserker's amazing, and Sven is coasting. This man is on easy mode. They just basically let him swap to support, and he's just been big chilling, right? I think Fudge, we would have to see Fudge versus, like, should we Zeus, and I don't know, without Blabber 2v1ing him, or without full focus on Fudge, I don't know if Fudge can 1v1 Zeus. So that's where that stands for SKT. And then for EDG's running it back. Straight up running it back. They got Flandre, they got Scout. I think Scout's a better mid laner than Jensen and Faker currently. They got JJ. Viper, Mako, that's a goated bot lane. So
Listen, they're definitely going to the Hall of Fame of bot lanes.
Yeah, I mean that the what was the name of the team when they were over in Korea with Viper and Chovy and what was that team called? Darn, I cannot remember. It's okay. Well, I can probably do like a if I click on
Griffin?
Viper. Griffin, yes. The run that Griffin the run that Griffin had, right? Right?
Yeah.
Could have gone down as one of the greatest League of Legends.
Tarzan was on that team.
Yes, Tarzan was on that team. Um
Is it Ontara?
who?
It,
Oh, Untera.
Ontara,
Yeah,
Tarzan,
that was afterwards.
Ivoni.
But like when they had when it was like because there was a whole issue between Sword and um what was it? It was like Sword and Doran. Is that where Doran comes in? Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. I'm sorry. I'm getting sidetracked. All in all, what I'm saying is this might be Cloud9's best chance to make it out of groups. And that's assuming that they also get to play against Fnatic. And I think that'll be a storyline that Riot won't really hammer on, but they should. Because that's awesome that Cloud9 yet again shows up the worlds, makes it out of groups. And when they make it out, they do it in a stunning fashion by beating 3 former world champions. You know what I mean?
At least once.
At least once. At least.
Now, like as stated earlier, that would be something to look forward to. I think the thing that's going to be scary for me is probably going to be DR. I'm looking at DRX being scary and Saigon Buffaloes. Uh, I think they can definitely be like surprise pick for me.
You mean coming out of the playing stage?
Yeah, they can play, and again, with the picks that they wind up seeing right here, based upon how they play, you can get a lot of oh we bout it time.
So the only reason why I don't think DRX is gonna like pop off is if again we don't know about the black box, if the meta stays the same where it's like you have to be able to play Draven, you have to be able to play. I'm not saying that Deft doesn't have a good Draven, but Deft is kind of like he's your kind of
It's like hyper carry.
like Caitlyn. When I think of Deft, I think of his Caitlyn, right? I think of him being able to farm up, not die, and then pop off in the mid to late game because of good positioning, good target selection, great spacing, and understanding how to play the role of AD carry. He's the AD carry that you want when the meta is hyper dependent on mid and top lane and not so much focus on the bot lane. If the meta continues the way the season has, it's going to be a bot lane meta. I know they've nerfed Sivir out of the game and Zeri. So again, the black box is going to be very interesting with Sivir Zeri, Yumi, Lulu, those combos not being as hype, and going into a more aggressive meta of like I said, I think Draven's gonna be pick or ban. But not everybody plays Draven. Draven is a very special kind of AD carry to one, not just play, but play well, and then also be playing at the highest level.
Shout out to Freeze.
Shout out to he's a coach for Cloud9 now, I think. Right? Yeah. I'm pretty sure he's one of the coaches for Cloud9. Either that or he's one of the closest for 100 Thieves.
This is again Freeze. Anyone wants to know how Bjergsen got game on the come up? See, is it Copenhagen Wolves? Freeze Freeze was the guy that they spent all their bans on. Freeing up Bjergsen to go off. So he was just that kind of he was just that kind of AD carry.
They have the head coaches, but I don't think they have the assistant coaches. I'm not sure. They might. Assistant coach. Vagar V2. So maybe it was on the other team. It was on 100 Thieves. But keep on going.
But yeah, that's all I had. This is basically that's what you're looking at. Freeze was somebody that spent 5 bands because his champion pool was deep, but he's known for his Draven play. Draven's hard because of the fact that you're an 80 carry that where your actions are spotted. You have burst ability. You can run things down. You can 1v9, but you're depending on having your placement and still people knowing where you're going to land. So
Yeah.
if somebody wants to screw you over, all they need to know is where that axe is going to fall, and if there's nothing blocking that skill shot, hitting you with it.
Yeah.
I think I'm not sure. I want to see how Loud comes out of this tournament. Mostly the fact that again, this is a Brazilian team with one Korean. What trips me out is this, and I think I saw this. There's one team that has the Dead Nation has three Koreans and two people from Japan. So I want to see how that play. I want to see how that plays out personally. Chief Esports, out of
I
Oceania.
mean, so Loud, I believe Loud is rocking the Sierros and Robo, which would be the most known. Oh, and Townsend, would be the most known, like from history Brazilian runs. You know what I mean? Like BRTT isn't showing up and all that. Who else did you say? Buffaloes?
It's a Gen Nation.
Oh, that Nation Focus me.
That's 3.
Has 3
Running
Brazilians?
Steel, no, they have three Koreans. Steel, Yararun, and Harp are all Koreans.
Yeah. Harp used to be really, really good. He's a really, really good.
I think Maple is still in this. I'm not sure.
No, Maple. I think Maple's on TSM. It's one of them. It's one of the old LMS mid laners is on TSM.
Yeah, that's it. Seeing him at Worlds was great because it's like everyone thought Maple had a shot to being the next. But I've seen Unforgiven back is nice. Nice chase to touch there. Not to be forgetting what the former AD carried for
Yeah.
carry for. I believe it was Spanish. I think it was a Spanish team. I forgot.
From Spain? Like Giants, or what do you mean?
No, it wasn't Giants. It was
Origin?
not Origin. What I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of like season 2, season 3. Because remember, Forgiven had to go and serve military in Greece.
Are you talking about the team that Forgiven was on?
Yeah.
So there was like H2K. He was on there for a while. He was on. He came back. He played for.
It had to be H2K.
You think it was H2K? Go ahead and look it up. But yeah, I mean, I want more information to come out. We'll probably do more of these when it comes to like figuring out the tournament, and especially when the pickups come in, we see the play-ins and see how teams look in the play-ins. Hopefully, it doesn't look like
he was on Copenhagen.
Yeah, a long time ago. I thought he was a I thought he was a substitute on Copenhagen.
It's SK's little team, SK Gaming.
Okay, SK.
And then he was on Gambit for 2 seasons. Got put to H2K. Played with Origin, and I think he maybe done his service.
And then he came back and was on the team with Gilius. What team is that? Because then he ended up basically blowing up the team, and then the rookie came in and showed him like stop being an idiot and ruining this game. And then he was never heard from or seen from again. I think he's still like rank 1 on like the EU NE server, which is not the EUS, and I think he's number like.
You talking about like football club Schalke for esports?
Yeah, Schalke. Oh yeah.
He stepped down.
Yeah, and then they went on to like go undefeated for like the entire season, and I think they almost made like a miracle run to go to Worlds. It was crazy. It was actually crazy. He literally like cut off his nose to spite his face. as one of those. This team is so bad. They're so bad. I can't. And we all know I'm not the problem. So you know what? I'm just gonna leave, and I'm done playing with this terrible team. Leaves. Team literally becomes almost unstoppable.
Is again toxic material. Is it? Is it? See, this is the toxicity league was trying to get out their game,
True. True.
but unfortunately, they won't get. Unfortunately, meanwhile, back in video two for the night, you'll see what we're talking about later. On that
Yeah.
note, like I said, we won't be getting into like King made his picks. I'm not making any picks until the chalk hits the board because that's just how I roll. But I am looking forward to Worlds. Like I said, this is the arbitrary who's going to win Worlds video. Now, for more details, after the group stage is being played, which you will find the playing stages. You'll find that the playing stages will start on the 29th and end on the 4th of October. Groups will start on the 7th, and the knockout round start on the 16th.
Oh yeah.
16th.
Again, if you do enjoy or you had fun listening to us kind of shoot the breeze about what we think and how we feel these world championships shall start off, feel free to drop a comment. Want to hear your point of views, your takes, what you think will happen or occur. Please, please, please let us know how you feel about this upcoming world championship. We're super pumped. Like I said, I may go to the one in New York City. That'll be super exciting. But like you said, feel free to drop a subscription, hit the like button, and we look forward to seeing you on the next video. We appreciate you. This is King Areno, call me King, and Race Crown of Eye on Esports, signing off.